championships. And another question is that why good-looking criminals are more likely to be found not guilty by the jury. So for the last 15 years, he has been asking people to exert the willpower in the laboratory, such as he asked people to turning down cookies. He even asked people to turning out destruction and holding back their anger, and last but not least, holding their arms in eyes. So no matter what he's done, no matter what task he used, people's self-control seem to be deteriorated because willpower is limited resource. We cannot force ourselves to do things again and again, like because it's limited, and this observation leads for master. And you can run out of strength entirely, like an athlete who push himself to exhaustion. So when you try to push yourself too much, you're gonna get exhausted. Just like I mentioned earlier. And every act of willpower equated willpower. So using self-control can lead to losing control. It means that losing too much self-control can lead to losing control. Under the microscope, the high and lows of willpower. So willpower drains throughout the day. So willpower does not always stay with us from the morning until night. It will drain from time to time. And do you wake up with willpower and suddenly drain it? Yes. I think everyone experienced that. Or is there any other time of the day when you find yourself recharged and refreshed? So it would be entrepreneur first thing first. So this is the next part, and example from the book is Suzanne. She was demanding conflict to be negotiated, and she able to be soothed, fire to be put out. She feared that she should stuck in her job forever. So after using the willpower and self-control, she actually improved herself, that her job was getting 100%, and starting with early morning email, and she end with her long commute home. So this brings me to the end of my part, and let's give the floor to Maria, who will be responsible for the next point.
Thank you very much for your precise explanation, and good afternoon everyone, and good afternoon lecturer once again. As you know that willpower is really important in your decision making. So hopefully after you have heard our presentation, you can apply this information to your real life activities. Self-control is really important, and unfortunately there is a limitation in self-control. So in this part of my presentation, we will discuss on why self-control is limited, and we will look into the root of the causes and try to break down the key to overcome the willpower exhaustion. So first let me raise a question first. So are we going to fail at our biggest goals if there is a limitation of willpower? And the obvious answer is yes. Everyone can fail if the willpower is lack, or we are exhausted of willpower. Because when you lose your self-control, it means you lose your path. You cannot control yourself from doing something that is wrong to the goal. So you will fail to the to your goal. And however, luckily there is a key to overcome willpower exhaustion. And let's see what is it. So before I move on, let me tell you some interesting facts first. In fact, there is no self-control muscles in our biceps. For example, like if you want to raise your hand to catch something to eat, for example, burger. So there is no control muscles in your biceps. So you can move your arm freely to wherever you want and take it and eat. But in fact, actually, the self-control muscle exists in your brain. Even if it is not in the form of brain, but it is called self-control muscle. It is not in the form of muscle, but it is called a self-control muscle. Because as you know, the brain is just an organ, right? So yeah, everything you do is controlled by your brain. So whether to catch the things is controlled by your brain, not your arm. Okay? And brain can be tired of repeated acts of self-control. Let's see the process here. When you use too much self-control muscles in your brain, then your blood sugar level in your body will decrease. And after that, it will increase the willpower exhaustion. So it will decrease your performance of willpower and self-control. Let me compare the brain to a runner. For example, like runner Watt have been running 5 kilometers in just 2 minutes. So he must be exhausted, right? So the brain is also like that. If you work your brain too much, then your control muscles in your brain will be exhausted as well. Okay. Let's move on. Yeah, and another question asks, could willpower exhaustion simply be the result of brain running out of energy? So the answer is, to answer this question, let me raise another experiment from Mr. Galliot. First, Mr. Galliot divided people into 2 groups, and before they provide them a task to make decision, he measured them, their blood sugar level in their body, and they found that the blood sugar level in their body is similar at first. But after that, they provide them a series of tasks to make decisions. And after that, he measured the blood sugar level again. And he found that their blood sugar level dropped very quickly. And the more drop of the blood sugar, the less perform the willpower perform. The less performance, the willpower perform. So task after task, the willpower depletion course. And after that, he provided the group A with just a placebo. A placebo is a kind of water which is artificial sweet, but it's not supply any sugar to blood level at all. And the group B with sugar sweetened lemonade. Okay, so sugar sweetened lemonade can increase the blood sugar level very quickly. And after that, he provided another task for them to make another decision. And after that, he found that the one with sugar sweetened lemonade can perform better than those who provided with placebo. So the surprising result is that our willpower can be restored by sugar sweetened lemonade. Okay, so so here are some more interesting facts that you may not know. People with low blood sugar levels tend to give up easily, get angry easily, and also tend to be more stereotyped and less likely to donate, which is stingy. Okay? So in contrast, the one with boosting blood sugar are more likely to be more persistent, thoughtful, and less selfish. And here is some suggestion. So in order to restore your willpower, you should have a sugar cube in your pocket every class you attend, in order to restore your willpower and your attention in the class. So next time of presentation, make sure you have some sugar cube in your pocket. And another question raised is how much energy exactly was getting used up during acts of mental self-control. In fact, the depletion of willpower or self-control doesn't relate it to the energy of the brain at all. Because you know the brain uses less than half a tic-tac per minute, and the tic-tac here is a kind of measurement that the brain uses when they perform tasks. So it is very little. And as I told you, it's not related to the brain energy at all, but it's related to our physical energy. To make you more clearer, to make you clearer, let me raise another example of banking crisis in 2009. So let's compare it. In 2009, there is an economic meltdown in US, right? So at that time, the American bank was about to bankrupt, and fortunately, the government of America provided influx of budget to the bank. And you know what? The bank stopped lending any money to small businesses or individual borrowers because they were not confident enough to provide the loan, because they also met financial problems. And they were referred to as stingy buster. And the brain is also referred to as being stingy buster in that way as well. When we run out of energy, we run out of blood sugar blood level, the brain can detect it. And when the brain detects the lower blood sugar in our body, then it will decrease the performance in everything of the brain. So willpower will deplete. That's why I make a suggestion that don't make decisions when you are hungry or lost or you are tired. And another theory explains people who are starving should say no to a snack. For example, like Guichan, she is on diet, but do you think she can resist a cheesecake when the cheesecake is in front of him? It's in front of her and she was very angry. So she cannot resist, right? Yes, and this series compare the brain to energy budget model of self-control, and the experiments were that the participants were to choose whether $120 tomorrow or $450 in a month. And the result shows that the increasing blood sugar ones tend to choose $450 in a month, while the drop blood sugar ones tend to choose $120 immediately after tomorrow. So it can be concluded that the more hungry people are, the riskier decision they will make. That's why the thief exists. Because they are hungry, they don't have money, so they start to rob or do illegal things for their hunger. Okay? And yeah, that brings me to the end of my part, and let's move on to the next part, which will be responsible by this part.
Good afternoon, lecturer, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Antoine Roth. Today I'm going to talk about training the willpower muscle. Training the willpower muscle is very important for you to know, because training the willpower muscle can improve your I want power, and self-nurturing system. And as you can see on the slide, the first thing that I am going to tell you is the exercise that can challenge the self-control muscle by controlling one force that you never used to control. For example, Iman, my friend, he always wants to get his closet clean, and he is very lazy, and he cannot clean his closet on time. And that's why the only thing that he needs to do is to set the schedule. I can move on to the next slide. And it means that the man has to create and improve his self-control muscle to meet his self-imposed deadline. And do you know what is self-imposed deadline? Self-imposed deadline and procrastination are very similar. So the first thing that you need to do is to set a schedule in order to get his closet clean. And on the first week, he only needs to open the door of his closet and stare at the map. And on the second week, he only needs to tackle anything that's on the hanger or pick something in his closet. And after doing that on the big fight, the man will get a picture. And it means that his closet will be clean. And by practicing it for 2 months, you will see the result. For example, this exercise does not only help you get your closet, not only help you getting your closet clean, but also help you improving your diet, exercising more, cutting back on cigarette, alcohol, and caffeine. And also, procrastinator, if you want to, during the semester break, if you want to study on the first day, it is very hard for you, right? So, on the first day of exam break, you only need to prepare your relevant document or TS book with you, or put it near your desk, near your bed, so that on the second day you might decide to read it for 30 minutes or 1 hour, so that it will not make you cramming for the test, or it stops you from using one-night policy. And now I would like to move on to the next part, which is self-control exercise. It's one of the self-control exercise, according to experiment, can help the participant to control their emotion and make them feel more relaxed. According to the experiment conducted in US, he called 40 participants, and they are all adults. Their age are ranging from 18 to 45, and all of them are very easily to feel angry and mad at their husband or their wife. And the experimenter divide them into 3 groups. And the first, he told the first group not to use their non-dominant hand for daily activity. Do you know what is non-dominant hand? For example, Cadet is right-handed person. So his non-dominant hand is his left hand. And daily activity here simply means brushing your teeth, opening the door, or doing some household. And he also told the second group to avoid swearing and say yes instead of yes. And while the third group did not receive any special instruction at all. As a result, after 2 weeks, the first group and the second group get more self-control, and they can focus more at their work, and they can resist temptation and feel more in control in their emotion. For example, one of housewives, she likes chopping the meat aggressively and badly and angrily. So after she practicing doing that exercise, it helped her to chop that meat more relaxed. And however, the third group who did not receive any special instruction did not show any change at all. Now let me draw your attention to this slide. Using your left hand to open the door, avoiding the word yes, or keeping the S word to yourself, and not the specific self-power training program. Do you know what is keeping the S word to yourself? A moment ago, when Loria mentioned me in this example, stating that Swanarot could run for 5 kilometers in 2 minutes, I was like, what? Yeah. And by avoiding saying the S word to you, by keeping the S word to myself, I can get more self-control. It means that through each of these willpower exercise, the brain gets used to pausing before acting. It means that before acting something, you can decide or make a decision. And before moving on to the next part, we will be presented by Miss Kai. I would like to recap the main points that I have mentioned so far. The first one, if you want to improve your iPhone power, you might decide to commit to not swearing, or you helps to use your non-dominant hand for daily tasks like eating, opening a door, or brushing your teeth. Furthermore, if you want to improve your I1 power to build a good habit to study harder, you should meditate for 5 minutes or clean your closet or try to recycle something in your house a day. And lastly, if you want to improve your self-control of your family monitoring system, you might decide on keep track on something you don't pay close attention to. For example, if your goal is to save money, you might keep track on what you are going to spend. And if your goal is to do exercise more often and get six-pack or your body slim, you should tell yourself that you must get up in the morning early and do 10 push-ups or sit-ups. And that's all.
For example, a runner is very
civilization. So before I start, let me define the two main key terms of the title to all of you. According to dictionary.com, distraction is a thing that prevents someone from concentrating on something else. And for civilization, is an advanced state of human society in which a high level of culture, science, industry, and government has been reached. Or in simple words, civilization is a well-developed society or community. And the whole phrase simply implies that our daily distraction lead to the collapse of our well-developed society or community. So now let me show you one case study to show how the distraction works. It is a mind game, which is a forest game, and there are two teams in the game, and players are given trees in 500 hectares to grow tree for 25 years, and the tree grow at a rate of 10% yearly, and each player will get paid 6 cents per action if they chop it down. And they can chop it down, up to 100 actions. And for team A, they do not follow the value of waiting to get the long-term gain. They just conform to an idea that if I don't cut it down, or others will. So each and every one of team A, they just cut every single tree down, and later they gain very little income. However, for team B, they are conformed to an idea that we are willing to wait for the long-term gain. So they let the tree grow till 25 years, and then they can collect the year of the whole. Yes, and another case study is about the depletion of civilization. There is an island in the Pacific Ocean, consists of one small community. And first of all, there is a few people living there, and after generation, as the population grows, the demand for settlement and food also increase. And then they clear the tree for the settlement, and they also hunt for more animals and more wildlife to survive. And after years, the island's tree is being cleared. So there is nothing left, and the food are depleted. So the starvation and cannibalism, which is the act of eating human flesh, began. After days, 97% of people died, and the remain left the island. And eventually the island becomes left out. So after you have seen the two cases of the everyday distraction, you may have an idea that how our human beings have a natural tendency toward the immediate goal, immediate gain or immediate goal rather than waiting to get a long-term goal. Luckily, the author also suggests a good way to overcome our immediate desire by developing a choice architecture. A choice architecture is a system that makes it easier for people to make good decisions consistent with our goal and value. However, before we can have our choice architecture, we need to have our self-control. But how can we have self-control? Because as the title of this chapter, self-control is limited. So we do not hope for development or to grow more willpower or self-control. But we need to meditation.